Hello there, Taurus. Thank you for stopping by for some tarot insights today. What I'm going to be looking at is one life cycle, and this is going to be very, very current. There will be part of the life cycle that you will definitely recognize. That will be the beginning part. There will be a lesson or experience that this life cycle brings to you. That is something that you may be actually experiencing or learning right now, or it may be something that will be starting in the near future. And then we'll look at the fulfillment or the ending of the life cycle, which is what happens as you incorporate that lesson or experience into your life. And once again, the ending or the fulfillment of the life cycle may or may not already be happening. That may be still to come. You'll kind of recognize where you are in the life cycle as I go through. Now, obviously, this is a general reading, so not everything here is going to apply to every single Taurus who watches this video, but I'm sure that quite a bit of it will. My agreement with Sacred Spirit is that most of it will be accurate for most of you so that these readings can be helpful. So let me put down cards for you here and let's take a peek. By the way, we all have several life cycles running at the same time. Each of those life cycles is to let us learn something or let us experience something in a new way. And as we learn what we need to or experience what we need to, then we graduate on to the next life cycle. So when I talk about the end of the life cycle, we are certainly not talking about right before you kick the bucket. Okay. Now, let's take a peek at what we have here for you, Taurus. The first card does talk to me about your environment, and environment is any place where you have energy or effort invested. And what I'm seeing here for your environment is that you're not so happy about it. I think there's some truths that have come out, or you've kind of seen some things about your environment that you had not noticed before. And after seeing those things, you're not as happy as you used to be in whatever your environment is. Next thing that I'm looking at has to do with subconscious leanings, and this is telling me that you have set down some boundaries with somebody in your life, and you are sort of expecting them to challenge those boundaries. And your subconscious leanings are basically about how am I going to handle that if they challenge these boundaries? And your subconscious is kind of looking at different scenarios of how that can happen and how you would handle each one. So that's what's really mulling around for the background program. Every once in a while, that'll become something that you're thinking about consciously, but mostly it's something that you're thinking about at a deeper level. You may even be having dreams about it if it's something that is really bothersome to you. Okay, so the next thing that I'm looking at does talk to me about your learning style and also your communication style. So let's take a peek here. Taurus, Taurus, Taurus. First of all, I'm seeing that once you get an idea about something, that idea is set. It's almost set in stone with you, that once you've gotten something, you're not going to be changing that information. So as far as learning, that's good because once you get something, you really remember it. But the other thing that's kind of coming out here is that once you know something or once you formed an opinion based on the things that you've learned, you don't easily change your opinion either. And the word that's hitting me is stubborn. So this may be a good time to think about possibly areas where you may be being stubborn about how you're looking at something, or you're not opening your mind to other options, and kind of examine if you really want to stay on that course or if you're just kind of doing it out of habit. Let's see, let's look at communication style. Well, the first thing that I'm seeing is that there seems to be some long distance communication going on with you right now that seems to be significant for this particular life cycle. And I also feel like you, in the communication that you're doing, in this long distance communication, you're kind of testing the waters first before you say things. You're kind of seeing how receptive the other person might be to what you have to say before you actually send the message. And when I'm saying long distance communication, this can be emails, video calls. What I'm really feeling the most when I look at this card, though, is that we've got a lot of emails going back and forth. And I feel like also you're being very careful in your communication. It seems like, not to paint this really ugly picture, but it seems like you're kind of worried about somebody else saying something that might influence things in a way that's not favorable for you. So you're being very careful about your communication, and you're kind of staying on your toes around this whole situation. All right, so the next thing that I'm looking at talks to me about your work. And this is both inner work and outer work. So outer work is what I call making a living, how we make a living, the things that we do every day for our own sustenance. Inner work is more of those things that we do to improve our own personality and our own character. So for outer work, Taurus, I do see that you are taking great pride in your work. In other words, you know that you're doing a pretty good job with what you're doing. And I see also that you're coordinating with other people. So for most of you, Tauruses, I don't see you as working alone. I see you as more collaborating with other people whenever it comes to work and making a living. As far as inner work, I'm getting a really specific message that talks about that you are really learning how to integrate the past with the present to help you reach the future. So it's all about understanding the relationship of things progressing in time and how they progress. And once you understand that relationship, I think what you're really integrating here and you're learning is how to sort of predict where things are going when you look from the past to the present, so that you can be kind of on the front edge of that wave. And that can be very much personally, emotionally understanding, just as much as this could be about understanding your profession in a way that is deeper than most people do. Okay, so that could be coming through either way, just depending. For some it'll be one way and for some another, and for some it'll be both ways. Let's see, the next thing that I'm looking at is that part of your personality that's being grown or expanded right now. Okay, so what I have coming up here is that you're learning how to make lemons into lemonade. You are learning how to take things that are handed to you that aren't so beautiful and perfect and turn them into something that is much more desirable. Once again, this applies for some of you emotionally, and for some of you this applies very physically. This could be you learning how to go to a garage sale and just pick up somebody's old junk and then clean it up, fix it up, transform it, and sell it, for much more money. So this could be very literally something like that. Or this could be emotionally, just learning how to pick yourself up from a situation that left you in sort of a bad place and figure out how to bring yourself around to a better place about it through your own healing. Or even with the help of others. We can't really rule out others here. But definitely learning how to transform and how to change things that are not so hot into some things that are much more desirable. Things or situations. All right, so the next thing that I'm looking at does talk to me about those things that you stand for. What am I feeling here, Taurus? So none of this reading has been really super pretty, and this is another card that's not really super pretty, so I'm hoping that what you're getting out of this is some kind of heads up or something that you can learn from here. But I do have to, my agreement with Sacred Spirit is to tell you guys what's coming through, because the truth is the only thing that's going to help somebody move forward. If I candy coat it, that's not helpful. So for those of you who like to pound on the negative readings, you can pound on this one all you want. Hopefully you'll also get some help out of it too. But what I have here is the thing that you stand for is, it looks to me like you've been through some stuff, Taurus. You've been through some really destructive stuff, whether it's destructive to your own self-esteem or literally destructive to material goods. You have been through some stuff and you have not come out of this unscathed. There are some injuries here, whether it's injuries to the heart or whatever. And I feel like right now what you're standing up for is the right and the ability to leave behind something that is toxic or destructive to you, for you to get away from that. And so you're standing up for yourself to be able to get away from that, which tells me if you have to stand up for this, you have somebody in your life that's trying to tell you that it's a good idea to stay in this type of toxic or destructive situation, whether it's a relationship, a work situation, an addiction, whatever it is. You've got people that are encouraging you to stick with this, and you're having to say to them, what you're saying just isn't saying here. Do you not see my injuries? I mean, just because they're not in plain sight doesn't mean I don't have them. It's time to get away. So I think you're really standing up for yourself to be able to get away from whatever this is that's been a really destructive influence in your life. How other people perceive you is kind of interesting, actually, and it ties in. It really makes a lot of sense with what I just saw. So other people see you as the generous one. They see you as the rock, as the solid one, the one that they can count on, the one that they can lean on. The only problem is if you're having to stand up for yourself to get away from bad situations, they've probably been counting on you or leaning on you more than is healthy for you or for them, either one. It seems like the idea here is that your resources are completely unlimited, and there's no reason to stop asking you for whatever help it is that they have been asking you for. So I think to me, when I see the combination of these two cards, I would say breaking away from that type of situation or relationship may be a little bit difficult just because of the pushback you get from other people and how they're so used to you being that strong person, that help, that support. When you decide that, hey, I cannot be that anymore, I have to put my energy somewhere else. I think that that is going to be something that they're in a little bit of a shock or a disbelief about. Okay, so all of this stuff is stuff that is probably present tense, most likely present tense. And so you should be able to recognize all of that in some form or other in your life. Now, I'm going to tell you, I expect that my reading should be 85% right or more, even in a general. I'm expecting a lot of accuracy here. Obviously, not everything is going to apply to everyone. So if I'm hitting less than 85% right on this part of the reading for you, you can pretty much take it to the bank that this reading was not meant for you. That's just the way it is. Okay, now if this has been really hitting the nail on the head for you up to this point, then you can pretty much take it to the bank that the rest of this reading is going to be for you as well. Okay, that's just kind of how I look at that. So the next thing that we're going to look at is the lesson or experience that this life cycle has set you up to have. And then we'll look at the ending or the fulfillment of the life cycle. So the next things that we're looking at, you may have already experienced depending on where you are in your life cycle, or you may be experiencing right now, or they may be just coming down the pike. You may not have even started to experience these yet. Just depends where you are in your life cycle right now. And you'll recognize as I start talking about what I see here, where you are, if you've started to experience the lesson or experience or not, and if you've started to experience the end of this life cycle or not. Okay, so lesson or experience, what we have showing up is that basically you did have a situation where something that made you feel really secure got jerked away from you suddenly and unexpectedly. This could be the end of a relationship. This could be that maybe you lost a job, or maybe your hours were cut at work, or this could be maybe somebody ran into your car and it's totaled and you haven't replaced it yet, or whatever. It could be anything that affects your idea of security in the manifest world. So what's going on now as your lesson or experience is you're recovering from that. That was in the past. Now you're recovering from that. Now you're finding out that there are other opportunities out there to make you feel secure that are better than what you had before. And so you are just looking around, finding some of those and starting to get really excited. And you may even be snatching one of those opportunities up and making it yours already whenever you get to this lesson or experience. If you have not already experienced that and you've experienced everything else that I talked about previous, that's imminent. That's coming. Okay? Now, as we go through to the end of this life cycle, which is what starts to happen as we incorporate the lesson or experience into our lives, I see a couple of things coming up. Okay? I see some real friction coming up in personal life. And when I see real friction, I'm talking about there are going to be, as you get into these new opportunities for security, there's going to be some disagreements between you and your partner. Whether we're talking about a business partner, if this is a business situation, whether we're talking about your life partner or a significant other, if this is a situation that affects home life, but there are going to be some disagreements. There are going to be some things that have to be worked out. It's going to be a challenge to be on the same page. It feels to me like you have one idea about how to overcome whatever happened before, and this other person has another idea about it, and you guys are having a hard time really understanding and being on the same page. You're having a hard time, I'm hearing you're having a hard time communicating your ideas to each other. I think if you guys could communicate better, things would go better for you, whether it's a significant other or whether it's a business partner or a friend or whatever. So better communication is definitely needed going into this. Also, I'm seeing that we've got friction with friends here coming up too. There are friends who are trying to get involved and trying to put in their 2 cents worth and trying to influence things. And this is outside influence. This is not the type of influence that is appropriate. And so you want to sort of be on your toes. Now, a real friend, you can say to them, I appreciate the help and I appreciate that you care for me, but that's just not where I am right now. And a real friend may not completely understand, but they'll back off and they'll support you. They might say, well, where are you right now? Help me understand. They may not say it that nicely, depends on their emotional intelligence, but, a real friend will try to get on the same page and try to be supportive to you. Some of these other friends that just want to manipulate things so that they go into a way that they're comfortable with, they may not stick around as friends. They may, if you make your decision and you stick with it, they may disappear a little bit. And so I don't think that any of you are going to lose all your friends, but I think that you're definitely going to have some friction and you may lose 1 or 2. A lot of you may lose 1 or 2 over whatever this is that you do to recover from that loss of security from before. Ultimate outcome of this life cycle, though, is victorious, is that you end up creating a project that is not only good for you, it's also good for other people too, and they recognize that and they appreciate that in you. So, ultimate outcome, if you lost a job, this would definitely be finding a new job, finding a job probably that works better for you than the last one. Maybe it has better hours. Maybe if you had to be out of state a lot, maybe now you're able to stay home more. I just feel like this, whatever it is that you're replacing, whatever you're replacing it with, is an upgrade. Okay? So I think you can look forward to that. And I feel like also some people, once they see that it's an upgrade, some of these friends that sort of drifted off or split off from you, I think they might come drifting back a little bit. And I think that the significant other eventually will come around and say, yeah, that's fine. You did good. But you should still be prepared that there's going to be friction before then. And so you're going to have to kind of walk through that. I feel like you're going to be kind of the Lone Ranger walking through that friction until you get to that place where people start to see that, wow, this is really working out well for this person. Okay? So that's the life cycle we've got showing up for you, Taurus. I hope you found this absolutely helpful for you. And what else do you need to know? Life cycles, I've seen them last anywhere from 20 minutes to years. So this is really variable, but this is something that is going on currently in your life right now. Okay? All right, everybody, have a fantastic, wonderful day, and I'll see you back here the next time. Peace out.